Good afternoon, huge pop wrestling fans. This is your host, Huge Pop, and to my left, it's the MATT, the Steelers fan, the Michigan Wolverines fan, and to the bottom is our special guest today. He's back for the second time. This man will tell you how it is. He stands up for what he believes. When he makes the appearance at the billboard on the arena, he gives the wrestling fans they are paid and what they. I am talking to the man, the head of the STP, the CEO of Shane Taylor Promotions, former ROH champion, two-time ex-CIP champion. Help me welcome the notorious one, the baddest man on the planet, the one, the only, Shane Taylor. What's going on, my man?
What's up? What's up? What's up? I appreciate the introduction. 99% had it, right? Here's the difference, right? It's the baddest of all time, right? And it's not the baddest man on the planet because I grew up watching Tyson do his thing, and that was always his thing, which at that point in time, he was absolutely a god among men, just destroying people, so he's earned that. And now I think like the UFC uses that for their heavyweight champion too, like whoever the heavyweight champion at the time is, he's the baddest man on the planet. But I chose to go with the baddest of all time, and I did that because the character and who Shane Taylor is taken in three parts, right? All different things inside of myself that resonate with me, but it comes from three of my favorite boxers, which is Ali, Tyson, and Floyd Mayweather. So my catchphrase, the thing that I always say is talk like Floyd, hit like Tyson, lead like Ali, right? And Ali was the greatest of all time, but greatness to me is subjective, right? Especially in the sport of professional wrestling. If you like high flyers, I'm immediately not going to be on your greatest list, right? Off rip, right? But being the baddest and what that means doesn't mean you're the toughest, the strongest, the fastest. Doesn't mean you can't lose. It means that you are willing to fight the fights that other people aren't able to, they don't want to. It's that grind, it's the willingness. Like, even if you beat me 99 times in a row, that 100th time, I'm gonna be right there. I mean, you're gonna stop wanting to fight me before I want to fight you. And that's the spirit that I think all of those men have combined, that bring me out.
Okay. That actually crosses off one of my questions I had for you, because after losing your that debut match, the Crazy Steve, that you explained it perfect. And I've actually, when I saw that quote, I coach my kid in 3rd and 4th grade tackle football, and I showed him that, and the whole make sure they remember your name and make sure they know who you are. I mean, he hits kids like he plays offensive line and he pancakes kids on. That's his, that's his passion. He loved doing that, and it's really driven him to get better. And I guess awesome. In a way, I'd say thank you for saying that and giving me fuel to help him.
Oh, listen, man, that's why I got in this, to inspire people to try to be the best at what they do in any capacity. I don't care if you sweep floors, you know what I mean? Then be the best floor sweeper on the planet. You know what I mean? So that's amazing to hear. Thank you for that.
Actually, my leadoff question, I'm gonna just jump into current stuff. Do you see yourself coming back to Tony Khan's ROH or even making your AEW debut? And if so, who would you like to work with inside of either promotion?
I mean, I would hope to. I don't know what the possibilities of those are. There's a cardinal sin in this sport, right? That you're never really supposed to do, and that's tell the truth. I do that a lot, right? So I tell the truth a lot. And some people get mad about that, but I don't, because I'm someone who is very much a team guy. With whichever team I'm on, whoever shows that loyalty and trust to me, I go all out for. Um, Father was a soldier. I understand that mindset. I've lived on bases, so when it's me and my team, we go to war with everybody else. You know what I mean? And so I'm gonna stand there, and I'm gonna go to bat for my guys. I'm gonna go to bat for my company. I'm gonna go to bat for, you know, everything that I believe and I want to push to make us the best that we can be, right? And I think in the old ROH regime, that was looked at as a negative, especially doing press or anything like that, when all the bad stuff, or not when bad stuff, but when the shutdown happened. I was out there verbally saying, look, this is not the talent, this is on management. This is not the talent. The talent has been putting on badass shows and busting their ass throughout the entire pandemic. This. And I get a bad rap for that. And people in those upper echelon circles tend to think that that's a negative, but that's not a negative to me. That's me going to bat for the boys and the ladies, saying, no, we did our jobs to the very best of our ability. There wasn't a roster on the planet that I felt like could touch us, and I wanted to see that roster showcased the way that they should have been, including the last pay-per-view. Um, I I said, like, it would have been super dope to have everybody come back or do promos and all that stuff leading up to the pay-per-view, like all week on their own social media platforms. Hey, if you love ROH for the last 20 plus years, hey, this whole week, hey, I'm there on, and we'll just pick names, right? On, Danielson's Twitter, Cole's Twitter, the Bucks Twitter, all these, like, if all these different platforms that whole week were pushing the pay-per-view, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like that would have given more time on the pay-per-view for the people who have been busting their ass there for the last few years to try to help maintain what the legacy of that was. And so I think a lot of people took what I said as a shot, as a negative, and it wasn't. It was just, hey, I wanted Ring of Honor's first slogan, the very first one, was fiercely independent, right?
Yep.
And coming from someone who loves Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor was one of the companies that inspired me to start wrestling. The Briscoes were the very first match I saw, right? So if it's their last show, or from what was being told to us, this is their last show for this company, bro, I was like, why would we not give the most time possible that we can to every individual on this show if this is going to be it, right? Like, stand on our own 2 feet, go out swinging, go out being the badasses that, I mean, that have made us one of the, if not the most influential company of the last 2 decades, right? So again, I believe intent a lot of the time is not judged. It's whatever tone they feel that you're taking. So that could be an issue. Also, the fact that, I'm very verbal about, I don't kiss ass and I don't politic. Um, I'm someone that's going to go out there and absolutely just give it my best and let the chips fall. I've said that on many a tweet, but apparently somehow that got misconstrued as well. And people think whatever they want to think, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you're going to get someone who tells the truth, has no personal problems with anybody, any talent, nor any company. And I'm going to go out there and do my job, and do it damn well, and push everybody around me to be the best that they can be. If that's something Tony wants in the new ROH, I'm a phone call away. If it's not, then we keep grinding. It's that simple.
Awesome, man. In the beginning of your career, was there a certain talent that you gravitated toward, that you felt understood who you were and what you were looking for? Guidance?
For guidance, there's been a lot of people through my career that have guided me early. Ray Monroe is a huge part of that. I talk about him probably every interview. Um, Trainer, one of my best friends in the world, big brother, godfather to my kids. Like, God forbid something happens to me in this world. You know what I mean? I know for a fact um, he'll make sure that my kids and my wife are okay. Um, and then throughout my years, man, different guys have been there at crucial times. Luke Hawks, Keith Lee, um, JD Griffey. There's been a lot of promoters, whether it be Lamont Williams, Luke again, Rob Langdon, a lot of guys who have been there to help. And then personally, getting to talk to people like Jazz or Rodney Mack or Ron Simmons, and when I talk about the things that I talk about, especially in the sport, when it comes to equality and educating not only fans, but ownership and management and creative teams and marketing teams about, learning more about Black culture, that Black people aren't a monolith. We're more than, 5 stereotype characters. When I talk about these things, it's really those old school legends, the Roddy Macks, the Jazzes, and the Rons. When I sit down and talk to them and they see what I do, they see the things that I say, and they sit back and they go, thank you for doing this the right way. Thank you for saying the things that need to be said. And they were right. They sat back and told me, like, hey, this is not something that's going to make you very well liked. This is something that's going to come with its fair share of criticism and slings and arrows. You're going to face that backlash because this is not something that's comfortable. This is not something that people want to talk about, nor do they want to hear in this sport. But someone still has to do it. Someone still has to say it. So, and we've seen such tremendous progress over the last few years. It's absolutely amazing to see, and I hope that it continues, and that we didn't hit a phase or fad in professional wrestling when it comes to people of color being mixed into these championship, opportunities, main event opportunities. And we see what it's done for the NBA, the NFL, and all these other sports that, we can make money, we can be intelligent, we can be articulate, we can be every other, all the depth that our counterparts can be when it comes to the type of characters and creativity that we can have in the sport.
Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.
So like I was saying before we got started, I recently got a chance to really talk with Brian Malonis, and he said he's a friend of yours, and he's a friend of the show. Do you have any? And he said he traveled with you. Is there any stories from the road about with you and Brian, or just fun, like interesting stories with you two?
Okay. Get the censor button straight. You ready?
Yep.
Brian. No, bullshit. Yeah. No, he's a good guy. It's one of my boys, man. He's what I really like about Brian is he brings a level of like jovialness to everything, right? Like he's always in a pretty good mood. You know what I mean? And it's just that guy that you're feeling down. He's gonna laugh or crack a joke or try to get you to feel better. And for me, like, I'm someone who does that, but I also tend to like I take a lot of things so serious and I focus on a lot of stuff, and I'm one track minded a lot. And so he'll come in and cut a joke about the Browns or something and kind of just get me out of that mode. And I'll, and you're always grateful for that. Beer City Bruiser too is another guy. So the fact that they got to team up and do all that was absolutely dope. One of the things that was in the works that never got to happen when myself, Khan, and Moses were running with the 6-man titles was match against those two and Ken Dixon, right?
Okay.
Ken Dixon, Maryland guy, been all around the country. That I feel like that would have been super dope, and we could have had some really cool moments there where we could like they're drinking in the bars because our thing was like, hey, we'll fight these teams under whatever rules that they want to fight by, and we'll walk into their house and beat their ass and walk out, right? Like that was our thing. Like when we got the 6-man titles, you know, once we made the decision to stick with Roosh, and not switch the title when it was me and him, and we were going out of the 6-man and doing all that stuff. It was like, okay, because we were at a point there where again, I am someone who will go to war for the team that I'm on, and so we kept seeing all these other people be brought in, and I kept saying like, yo, we have incredible talent right here. We have incredible talent right here. We've got a whole roster full of people either not on TV or not getting that time. So how about this? How about we go this route, and the three of us will showcase every single person that y'all don't think is ready or that y'all don't see it in, right? Give us everybody. I don't care, like, because the 6-man titles were the only one with no ranking system, right? So I was like, bet, give us everybody. Give us everybody you think is extra or whoever, and we'll go out there and put on bangers with everybody and show you this roster is, you know, brimming with talent. But they're a team that, you know, I feel like really could have done some awesome stuff. And that's the one regret that I have is like, damn, we never got to do a program with them.
Okay, that's cool.
Man, one thing I could say about you, Shane, is that you're a man full of confidence and positivity, and I love that. And I know that from the first interview that we did, that's who you really are. And when working with foster kids and stuff, we talk about positivity and stuff like that. You know, this persona that you give out, this vibe that you give out, I just want to say I appreciate it. And is this your goal of what you really wanted to do? Got into professional wrestling. Share with people the positivity and the confidence. Like, hopefully, people use that in their own life.
Well, I mean, the goal was always to inspire. When I was younger, you know, there's a lot of violence, lot of things happening around us. So I lost a lot of people very young. Like I said, you know, I've probably been to 100 funerals by the time I was 13, right? Like you know, wrestling for us and my family was a way to bring everybody together. And in those 2 or 3 hours that we watched it, you didn't have to worry about anything, right? You knew everybody was safe. You knew everybody was in one spot. There was a calmness to it. And amongst the chaos, there was this, you know, amongst the darkness, there was this shining light, right? And professional wrestling provided that for me. It's why I care about it so much. And in those moments as a kid, you're looking for people that you can relate to, right? And for me, you know, Vader was cool. You know, Hogan at the time was cool. Ultimate Warrior was cool. You know, it was great seeing all these characters, but you look for someone that you can relate to, someone that looks like you, walks like you, talks like you know, can understand the challenges of where you're from. And I didn't get that a lot as a kid. You know what I mean? Not there was always someone who was, you know, and knowing wrestling now, there's larger than life personalities, but it just no one seemed touchable to me. You know what I mean? No one seemed like relatable. I didn't know anybody who barked like a dog. I didn't know anybody who had a parrot. I didn't know anybody, like, I knew people who looked like Slick and moved like Slick, but we never really associated with people like Slick, right? So even that was like, and this is no disrespect to anybody. This is just talking about what was relatable to me at the time. And then you see Ron Simmons. And I went, oh, here we go, right? Here's someone, proud Black man, not a caricature of the culture, and it's just out here busting his ass, working hard, fighting whoever he's got to fight to climb his way to the top. Yeah, I like this dude, right? Beats Vader for the world title, becomes the first recognized Black world champion in history. And it was like, okay, this is possible, right? He laid that blueprint, and yes, I know wrestling historians are like, whoa, Brazil. Yes, there's been champions prior to Ron, but we're talking about recognized by by the wrestling gods, so to speak, right? So seeing Ron do that put it in my mind, okay, it's possible for a Black man to lead a company, not be a caricature of the culture, and simply just be themselves. And that was my goal, right? That was my goal, to be able to go, okay, let's do that. You know what I mean? And once you start, you realize how difficult of a task that is. And how big of a mountain that is to climb. That's why, we don't see it that often, right? We've seen it in The Rock. We've seen it in Kofi Kingston, Bobby Lashley. We've seen it, for Moose, Rich Swann, and most recently, I believe Jonathan Gresham. So I don't think I'm missing any, because Lashley did it in TNA too, so it's counting him. But yeah, Ron Killings, right, when he was the NWA World Champion, right? I believe to this day still he's the only Black NWA World Heavyweight Champion there's ever been. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
And
yeah,
I think you're right, and I can tell that through your character, personality, and your I just want to say it sets a good standard, and it's good. You're a good role model, and
here's the thing about that, right? And again, and I go back to, the goal was to inspire, right? The goal is to let not only my peers and future generations know that it's possible to do this without selling out your values and your culture to do it. But also, I wanted those older generations to be able to look at me and go, that's how you do it, kid. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted that approval. I wanted that stamp. And to me, that was one of the most important things as well. And I don't call myself a role model specifically for the reason that I'm just as flawed as anybody else. I feel like when people do that, they're placed on this pedestal, and you have to be almost inhuman, right? You have to be this perfect mold of a person. And when people find out you have flaws, it somehow devalues you in their mind, right? And so I always say I'm a real model, right? I'm a real person with real shit going on. You know what I mean? I go through the highs and lows of emotion, have my good days and bad days, but ultimately, this is what I believe. And when and if you're on board with that, then let's go.
My next one is actually what was or slash is your favorite venue that you performed in, or yeah?
Ooh, Madison Square Garden, gotta be. The shout out to Bully Ray there too, because I wasn't supposed to be on that show, but he does what Bully Ray does, and fine. So that was absolutely dope. And what it proved to me, at least in that moment, was the feeling that I got was, yeah, like this. this whole big venue thing, yeah, I can do this. You know what I mean? So walking into that venue for me was an upper, and the red light came on, and I just felt like, yeah, you're made for this, right? So um I'm very much looking forward to the opportunity wherever that is, whether it be here, whether it be overseas, uh, to be able to do that. Hold on, give me 1 second. I hear my daughter calling me. Give me a second.
Go with ham bones.
All right. I might have to. We got about 15 minutes, and then I gotta.
You can wrap it.
I just have one more question. I skipped over the PBK stuff because I didn't.
All right, sorry about that.
That's all right. I have a question from someone that's watching the interview right now.
Yeah.
His name's Hambone. He is the drip god of TikTok, Wrestle Talk. He wants to know, can you elaborate on the partnership with Keith Lee came about, how it came about, how they ended up in ROH, how you guys ended up in ROH together.
I met Keith when I first moved down to Texas, maybe a few months after, working for a company called NWA Houston, right? Then it changed to Lone Star Championship Wrestling. This was 2014-ish. And at the time, the NWA World Tag Team Champions, I think, were maybe the Heat Seekers, and they had just lost the titles in Noah, and so they were looking for a tag team to go to Noah to bring the titles back, right? And so myself and Keith, there's no one that looks like us individually. Damn sure no one that looks like us as a team. So initially,
That's a fact.
the goal was to go to Japan, was to go to Noah. For whatever reason, that didn't work out, but we once we got, the in-ring chemistry was immediate, the personal chemistry was immediate, and so once we started, it was really like, oh, this is, we got something here. And the name, Pretty Boy Killers, a buddy of mine named Trip Lee in Ohio, he actually had that moniker, right? And when he told me about it, I was like, that's dope. And he told me about it years prior to this, but then I started to think about that, and I asked him, I was like, hey man, can we use it? He's like, go ahead. You know what I mean? Like, so he gave me the blessing. And the Pretty Boy Killers, again, it sounds like a rough name, but in reality, it all goes back to the same sort of mission statement that STP has, and it's killing the image of what a star can be, what a star is supposed to look like, how they're supposed to look, walk, talk, dress, act like. When people in this sport here, when they say, what's your definition of a world champion? They go, blonde hair, blue eyes, suit. And I go, no, there's millions of different world champions. Look at the fight game. Anybody can be a world champion, right? Everybody has the ability. When you get locked in on what specific image you are looking for, you lose every other valuable piece that has passed you by, right? So it was killing the image, of that, killing that pretty boy image that, this can be the only person that can lead the company, was something that, we prided ourselves on, and our goal was to go out there every single night and outperform every guy, with 6'4", with that was jacked and had a six-pack and oiled up and all this, whoever you thought was your guy, we're gonna go out there and absolutely obliterate his performance every single time. We're gonna obliterate the crowd reaction he gets. We're going to make him question his own capability, because that's just what we wanted to do. and there was really no one that could tell us we couldn't. You know what I mean? So that was the goal there. And then once we got to ROH, I had been there a few times, had done some dark matches. Shout out to Will Ferrara, Jay Diesel, Romantic Touch at the time. Those were some of my first matches there. And then I had showed up in my suit and, did a few things. And then they saw me and Keith together in the suits. And Kevin Kelly walked by, looked at us both and said, I like that. Right. And so that became kind of the thing. Like, okay, we're going to come out, be in these suits, handle business, put the jackets back on, you know what I mean? And walk out. Right. And that became kind of the thing for a while. And then once, we became more solidified on the roster, we got the gear and all that stuff to go with it. And to this day, one of the most talked about matches is ourself versus, then War Machine, currently Viking Raiders, in San Antonio, where we had that big brawl. Kevin Kelly got taken out, you know what I mean? And just all the wild stuff that happened. But yeah, man, just fun times. I love to see everything that Keith is doing now. Absolutely crushing it. Tag team champions over there with Swerve. Then they lost him to the Acclaim because of Billy Gunn / Daddy Ass. I don't know what you call him. I'm just not gonna call another grown man that. That's just me.
Scissor me, Daddy. Scissor me, Daddy.
It's just not where I'm at in my life. You know what I mean? Kudos to everybody else. It's just I'm not ready. But absolutely crushing it, and I love to see it. I'm so happy for everybody over there.
So my last question before I have to take off. Everyone on social media like TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all of us fans, we like the fantasy book.
Yeah.
How would you fantasy book yourself in any promotion out there right now?
As it stands right now, I would have Samoa Joe in the ring cutting a promo, talking about how he is, the best television champion. I believe he's now he's captured most of the championships in ROH, but the goal, but him being the man, and talk about how no one can take the television championship from him. And then music hits. You know what I mean? I think me versus Samoa Joe is a match that would be absolutely dope. I think it would be one of the hardest hitting matches of all time. I believe we can make absolute magic. And my run as television champion was one of the most dominant and one of the most talked about runs in ROH history. A lot of people call it their favorite run, other than Jay Lethal, who is, I've gone on record as saying Jay Lethal could absolutely be the best Black performer I've ever seen in my life. And to rank him up against the very best, he absolutely holds his own, right? If there's a top 5, I don't care who you're adding when it comes to professional wrestling skill. I don't care any genre, background, whoever. Jay Lethal is top 5 in my opinion. So to have my run compared to his and have it be in that same sentence is already an honor. But I feel as though that's how you do it. You get me and Joe. I beat Joe's ass because, that's what I do. All respect to Joe, but Joe knows what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's my guy. But hey, when it comes to these straps and that money, you know what I'm saying? There ain't no friends. So, and then we do what the people have been asking for for this whole year that we've been off TV is you can bring us in to either do 6-man title stuff and absolutely solidify the fact that we're the best trio on the planet. You've still got myself, Ron Hunt, Moses, O'Shea, Edwards, or we just go faction to faction and start whooping everybody's ass. You've got Blackpool Combat Club. You've got some of the best there, and the champion Moxley and Claudio and Wheeler. You know, you've got the mind of a William Regal, you know, leading them. So that would the engagement, the promos, the matches, all the things are right there to prove, you know, who the most dominant group in the company is. So it's all right there. But first and foremost, I think you put me and Joe on that stage and let us do what we do.
Thanks for answering and coming on with us today. I have to go get my kid from school, and good luck on November 26th when my boys come into your house, and hopefully we can walk away with a W.
They'll leave with the same thing they walked in there with the last few years. You know, nice L. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
They'll go ahead and have to put everything back in alignment, as it were, get everything back right with the universe. Because y'all won one game with 16 starters out, and then everybody lost their minds. Like
16 starters out. That's all we hear.
Listen, go research it, bro. It could have been more. I don't know. It could have been more.
All right.
But you know what I mean?
But thank you for coming on again. I appreciate you. And
I'm gonna hang out with you for a few more minutes, Shane. I got a few more questions.
Let's do it.
Thanks, Matt. Shane, would you consider yourself and the STP as the game changers of wrestling business?
Yeah, I would. More so, I would categorize us as a problem for the wrestling business. Not in, but for, because we are individuals. Every so often, you'll come across people in different sports that change how the game is played, right? With Shaq, right? They had to make new rules for Shaq. With Barkley, they had to make new rules for Barkley. With Randy Moss, they stopped running one high safety. Now that's why people have two high safeties, right? Like, where there are certain players and individuals that come along that force the game to change, that force it to adapt. And I believe we are that group. We are that group that is going to force people to change how they do things, especially if we're on a platform in which we get the opportunity to showcase ourselves in full fashion. I don't believe there's any more complete or any more formidable looking group on the planet. And I think the ability for us to do every single aspect of this game at the best, you know, at its best, top to bottom, there's nobody that can touch us, man. So all we just need is the stage and the opponents, and we'll take care of the rest.
Awesome. I do a lot down in Florida. I live in the Panhandle of Florida, and they have a couple of independent wrestling organizations, XIW, Extreme Impact Wrestling, guys like Damian Wayne, Jackson Slade, Chase Stevens is over here for a stint right now, etc. Would you say the indie shows and even the shows like ROH and Impact match up to the shows of WWE and AEW? I think they're far off.
No, I think they match up well. I think the difference between the two is a lot of maybe presentation, and I think just the production that goes into it. But you're dealing with a machine, right? Like that. That's like, you know, you can have the best production in the world for any game. You know what I mean? But the NFL, the way they produce it is going to be different because that's the machine, right? It's not to say one is better or worse or anything like that, because I know people go like, "Oh, he said this." Like, no, I'm just saying that's a different level of thing. But as far as in-ring work and match quality, does it stand up to? Does the talent match up? Absolutely. Uh, you have incredible performers. Josh Alexander in Impact is incredible. You've got Eddie Edwards. You've got Moose, like we mentioned. You've got some Chris Bay. You've got so many of these talented individuals. You've got Mickey James, Tasha Steeles. You know, Gail Kim. Not Gail Kim. Sorry. Mia Yim. Sorry about that. And you've got so many people, you know, who are there ready to absolutely crush it, you know. And then the AEW side, like we just talked about, you know, you've got your Jay Lethals, your Samoa Joes, your Ricky Starks, you know, your Danny Garcias, and all the people that they have there, your Keith Lees, your Swerves, all these people ready to absolutely crush it every single night. So the star power is there, the ability is there, the match quality is there, if not better. And yeah, man, it's very comparable. I think again, the only difference is the machine. You know, length of time doing it at that level, and everything that comes with that.
Question from my foster kids. You play video games, and what's your favorite game and system?
I do, man. I'm a big gamer. Outside of training and spending time with my kids, that's what I like to do. PlayStation is where it's at. Not at Xbox. I've had them both, and I prefer PlayStation. Um, right now, the main things in rotation are NBA 2K23. And then we've got some Warzone, some Black Ops 4 still. And then we dabble in some Madden and some MLB The Show, which, to their credit, MLB The Show may be the most consistent game of any of the annual titles ever, right? They kind of make the same game every year, but they make minor improvements to graphics and all that. But at the end of the day, like, it's just a solid game all around every year. No real glitches or bugs or anything that, you know, people complain about. They just do their thing and they keep rolling. So shouts out to them. With 2K, man, it's always like you get promised this incredible game, and it's not bad, but then there's just so many glitches and exploits and all kind of just, you know, cheesing that people do. And you can't blame the devs. You really kind of got to blame the players for doing it. But it's just every year it's always something.
So some fire questions, man. Logan Paul, your thoughts?
Logan, thoughts about what?
Yeah, him in the wrestling ring, him and his performance.
I think he's doing great. I think Bad Bunny really came along and took and did his job with such passion that he set a new bar for celebrity performances, right? So then you've got someone like Logan Paul, who I was watching YouTube, and I can't remember what video it was, but they were talking about his stats as like a high school athlete, and he was putting up like comparable numbers to like running backs who were drafted, you know, in the NFL. So I think that because his profession is YouTube, people somehow think he's not athletic or he's a joke. But like, you gotta understand, this guy's going out here now and performing at, you know, elite football skills, elite wrestling skills, you know, well, not elite wrestling skills, but very good wrestling skills for the short amount of time that he's been doing it. Uh, Boxing skills, he's in there, he's fighting Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? I saw a clip. He said he won some rounds. Come on, dog. But like but he's still doing it, right? He's doing it. He's crushing it. You know what I mean? So you can't be mad at that, man. Like you got to give the man his props. Same with his brother. They found a way to market themselves, and that's the job. That's the goal. Like, and the fact that people are talking about them, they're doing their jobs. People can be like, "Oh man, I don't see why." I'm like, they're winning. The fact that you're talking about them right now, they've won, right? They've done their job and they hooked you, right? They made you feel a type of way, because if not, you'd just be indifferent and you wouldn't care. But the fact that you don't like them, right? The fact that you're emotionally invested into them, they've done their job. They got you.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on that point. You know, a lot of people complain about him and stuff like that, and but they got your attention, because if they didn't have your attention, wouldn't be talking about it.
Exactly.
You know, then
You would look right past it.
there's a guy that I'll bring up next, and one of my, I love his. I guess I'm becoming more of a fan of his. But my question is, can you shut MJF up? Okay, I'm MJF off AEW, and the guy runs his mouth all the time, etc., etc. But he's doing his job. Talking about it. I just want a thing on my thing. My brother asked a one dream match. You answered that. Are those AEW trio belts going to come your way?
Who knows, man? Who knows what the future holds? You know, I've said from the beginning that, you know, that we are the best trio in the world. We brought 6-man tag team wrestling back to relevance when we were in our ROH. I felt like those belts were an afterthought until we got them and made them a point of interest. I would have absolutely loved to have toured with those and hit Mexico and took those, hit Japan and took those, and then really gone around the world, you know what I mean, being the best 6-man, being the best trio in the sport, you know what I mean? So yeah, I believe if given the opportunity, again, it's all about opportunity, right? And we could sit here and talk about matches and all that, but you know, again, this game is ran by people, you know, that believe certain things, have certain values, and no one changes the rules of a game that they're winning, right? So again, if the opportunity doesn't come, then it doesn't come. But like I said, all we've ever needed is that one opportunity to showcase what we are and who we can be. And every single time we crush it. You know what I mean? Even with the Impact match with Crazy Steve, there was, you know, thousands of new likes, thousands of, you know, there was so much buzz, so much, you know, everything, go out and we deliver. Crowd absolutely went nuts in Dallas. It was incredible. So again, the track records speak for themselves. You give us the opportunity, turn the red light on, and you've got stars. You know, it's all the political bullshit that you got to navigate. That makes everything so challenging.
Couple more questions, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you taking your time. You see yourself as the top dog in the business, or would you call yourself the head of the table?
I won't call myself the head of the table because that's somebody else's thing. I'm the type of individual that makes a lot of people nervous. I covered the fact that I tell the truth. I also covered the fact that I demand respect from everyone just the way that I give it, right? A lot of people in this sport are used to, especially if they're in positions of power, are used to saying whatever they want to people and no one really challenging them. That's not how I operate. I treat everybody the same. I don't care if you're a CEO or you're the guy who runs the vending, the popcorn guy, right? You get my respect from the gate. That's just how I was taught. And my thing to people is always, you talk to me like you have sense, or I can talk to you like I don't have any, right?
Right.
So, and that's just how I am with everyone. But I feel like that's just the most fair way to be, and that's just the most real way to be. And I am someone who I would like a seat at the table to be an equal and to have a fair opportunity and a fair share of everything. That's not how the game works. It's not how the world works. So I am also the individual who will absolutely walk up to you, kick you out your chair, and take the chair from you and take your spot at the table, or just destroy your whole house and then build a table of my own. Like that's who I am. But the thing that I don't do is I don't accept having a little pet dish on the side next to the table saying this is your spot. That's not what I do. That's not what I accept. And a lot of people feel as though, if you don't accept that, then you're somehow a problem, or you're unprofessional, or you're hard to work with. No, that's not the ceiling that I'm going to place on myself.
Awesome, man. Thank you for that. Last question, man.
Yeah.
Where can we find you going forward? Where can we find your merchandise and keep up to date with life, Shane Taylor?
All of the links to the bios and the merch are on the socials. That's at Shane216 Taylor. That's TAYLOR on Instagram and Twitter. This weekend I head to Texoma Pro to defend the Texoma World Championship and the Red River Heavyweight Championship from, I believe, Rick Savage. That's October 21st in Texoma. And then November is going to be absolutely crazy. We've got so many good shows there. Just announced today, we're going to be back at WrestleCade, November 25th to the 28th. That's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That's going to be absolutely incredible. So yeah, just keep an eye out to the socials for the flyers and the posters. And if myself or anybody from ASTP is coming to your area, make sure you take the time to go check us out. Go see what all the hype is about. Go talk to the guys. Grab a shirt. Grab some merch, and absolutely see why you spent your money well when you come to see us.
Awesome, man. Hey, if I got a micro brawler of you, how would I go about sending it to you? Man.
I can give you my address when this is done, and you can send it to me, and I'll mail it back to you.
Awesome, man. And thanks again that we had Shane Taylor today. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate you on second time, and you're a man of your word. You're a man of that. That's how it is. And I have one last thing for you, man.
What's that?
Go blue.
Fuck that. Nope. Go Buckeyes.
All right. Thanks, man. I'm gonna turn